Hello, Flat Earth researchers, debaters, and debunkers. It's Nirvana Day today in Thailand, full moon, and I just came across a video looking for Flat Earth stuff, and of course, it's nigh on impossible now to find anything related to genuine Flat Earth research. And when you interact with normies or globe believers, then you hear the same old things. And so I thought it'd be a good chance to go through, what do you call it, a response, do a response video to just one of those very common videos that talks about the top 10 reasons they believe the Earth is round. And it's incredible, really, what we're given. I'm sure you've all seen videos like this before, so there's nothing new here. But there's certainly some points to discuss. And as it says in the description, the main point is really, the whole objective of this truth-seeking journey, whether you're doing it through Flat Earth or whatever, science, culture, whatever is kind of spurned you to wake up, whether it's recent government actions or just things you see happening around you in society, where you see that you're just on a different plane, I suppose, to most other people, and you see that for the most part we spend our time believing things. So if you're on a truth-seeking journey, it doesn't matter what the topic is. The whole point is to discern between knowledge and belief. And it's actually quite challenging to do, because you really have to start questioning, and questioning authority, questioning what we were taught since 5, 6, 7 years old is very, very difficult. Subconsciously, we don't often kind of recognize what we're doing. It's not until we become conscious of it that, because we're on a kind of truth-seeking journey, that we start to realize that there's so much that we believed and so little we actually know. And then there's so many people telling you that they know this and they know that, because they just have the ability to memorize the things that we were taught. So hi all in chat. Yeah, I just wanted to get things going there and cover the topic. Squirrel Sniper, hi. Zeus Scott, hello there. All right, mate. Earth first, space later. Hello, good day. That's a good handle. Nice one. Love Kung Fu, hello there. And who else in the house? All right, okay. Good to see you all, man. What is it, Wednesday or something? Or Thursday? It's Wednesday here. Yeah. So it's really important, isn't it? This discernment, and what's also important is just helping other people find their own truth. Yeah, this whole thing isn't about telling people what the truth is, because ultimately you arrive at that point where you don't really know, and you can accept it. You can accept that we don't know what the truth is. We know what we've been told. We might have heard from, religious doctrine. In fact, that reminds me of a quote I saw just the other day, that apparently in the Old Testament there's a warning against following sun cults, which is quite interesting. I didn't know that before. Obviously, that you know about the connection between the sun gods, Apollo missions, and all the names they've given to the space mission things. It's all about either reverence to the gods, or maybe it's just a kind of nod to the fact that we are doing this as a way to deceive the masses. And of course, if you believe the kind of NASA, there's a satanic NASA agenda then that would fit perfectly, wouldn't it? They are doing exactly what the Old Testament says you shouldn't do. They are getting you to worship the sun gods. I can't remember the exact word for it, but it's helio something, not heliocentric as the system, but this kind of adherence to the sun. And we know how much. Well, we don't know. Again, all we have are stories, right? But we have stories of maybe the Aztecs and other civilizations that have come and gone. They may or may not have unalived people to please the gods or whatever. But essentially what we see throughout history is civilizations being controlled by sun worship. And of course what it is the ability to predict. So when the astronomers can predict an eclipse, that gives them power over the ignorant, uneducated masses, and that's what we have here with everything about the globe. We are being told that only the smart guys have been able to tell us. A handful of people throughout history that have proven that we live on a globe with thought experiments and stuff. And as a consequence, because it's all mathematical models and abstract concepts that totally avoid any kind of direct measurements, it's all about indirect measurements and drawing conclusions about cause and effect. What is it? Cause. I can't remember how you say it, but cause isn't correlation or something. You know what I mean? Because there's these assumptions to start with. So we've got. And the more you get into this, the more you do the journey, the more you're on that path of breaking free, because it doesn't happen straight away. There is obviously a lot goes on. I hope the sound's okay, by the way. I'm just going to carry on for now while I'm on one. But we know now I've lost my train of thought. But yeah, so we know people have used this knowledge of making predictions. It doesn't mean you know what the sun is. Oh yeah, we have people often claiming that they know what the sun is, and they know how far away it is, and they know how big it is. Yeah, and you might get into arguments about angular size and things like that. But it's all futile and pointless, because ultimately you look up at the sun and the stars, and you realize that, well, actually it's totally open to interpretation. People who wish to control narratives and who have an agenda to force people to think in a certain way or believe certain things will just use that inability to prove them wrong as a way to say, there's my proof, I'm right, I know, you don't know, because you don't do maths or whatever, or you don't know the predictions. You're not an astronomer. You don't have that high level of education that I do. So how could you know? Yeah. Okay, thank you, Lev. That's good to know. Hi, Jax. All right, yeah. So yeah, I finally got the sound sorted. It goes through. I got a mic and it goes through an amp, a mixing desk. Sorry, and then it goes through a Focusrite amp. So yeah. Let me just see who else is in chat there. Billy Zig, hi mate. Yeah, nice to see you all. To see you, nice. Who else? Ashman, Karoz. Off topic. Where in the England were you from before Phuket? I'm from the southwest of England. Oh, you can speak like that. That's where they come from, like that, where they do the farming and all that. I used to mess around in the barns playing with the A and all that. So, yeah, kind of just outside Bristol. Hello, Bloods. Thicker. Callum, hello there. All right, yeah, great. Yeah, so, I know we're kind of preaching to the converted, aren't we? But isn't it funny how we've, over the course of time really come back to the basics? Because when you if ever you engage with someone who's a globe believer or has never even questioned it and thinks they have science and mathematics on their side, they'll go through all these topics that we're going to just have a look at and respond to in a second. And it's never about actually direct measurement, and it's never about can we think of a new way of doing it? Can we think of a way that actually doesn't mean we have to presuppose models and things like that? It's like, we're taught that it's a done deal. Yeah, it's a totally done deal. And again, this goes for any kind of system, whether it's a political system. It's all been worked out before. I mean, yes. In fact, I was listening to a good conversation about the Constitution, whether it's in the US or the Magna Carta, and things like being on jury duty. I can't remember if it was with Richard Vobes or not, but it's about being sovereign and understanding common law. This is part of it. We the people have the power, but we lose our power through ignorance, through false knowledge, through things being airbrushed and covered up and not talked about. Yeah, so we do have to talk about going back to the basics, because we've become so lost in all these aspects, whether it is science, politics. There is a structure in place since, for example, the Magna Carta for the government to be a part of the people's power, and the government's power is limited, and there are all these balances in play. Well, it's very simple, just do no harm, and things are based off that, and things can be adjusted or adapted as you go, depending on the circumstance. But of course, what we can see has happened is that people in authority, perceived authority, have grabbed power, taken power, assumed power, assumed to have knowledge, yeah, and sometimes they're just victims themselves, because they're bamboozled, and they're infatuated with their own knowledge, yeah, their own identity, and because of that, they don't look inwards at or back to the basics as to why they believe certain things. Yeah, so it's a good point. It is about critical thinking. It really is. It's about critical thinking, and we're not taught to question. Yeah, and I mean, to be honest, as a father, right? I remember first starting out as a father. You find yourself doing things automatically that were kind of done to you. I don't mean that necessarily in a negative way, but sometimes it's negative because you're unconscious of how you're treating your kids, and then you can. But if you've gone through it, you can reflect on it, and if you are a critical thinker, you can perhaps start to understand the reasons why certain things were said or done by people in authority, and you can also have compassion for them, and there's elements of forgiveness there as well. This is all part of the journey, right? It's all about realizing that people do get lost, and there's good reason that people get lost, because we've lost all of the things that guide us, these essential things. Something like the Magna Carta or the Constitution, or even the court process and the jury process. This is all meant to guide us and to keep us conscious, keep us thinking critically about who we are, about society, about what we're doing to ourselves, to our fellow humans, and our future generations. It's really important, yeah, because if you don't stay on top of it, it becomes a mess. It's just a quagmire, and you just get drowned and suffocated by the nonsense, yeah? So, Ashman, the Bill of Rights as well, I suppose, is more to do with it, isn't it? Yeah, the Bill of Rights, that's what's kind of dictating the things. It's a fascinating subject, but at the same time, you don't need to necessarily get too deep into it. You just when you have you can't have a fundamental understanding until you've gone deep into it. That's the rabbit hole, right? You go down it, and you go down all these tunnels on the labyrinth here and there, and you're looking and you're curious all the way, but eventually you come back out, and having explored it, and you've reached a few dead ends, or you've seen things that just go on forever and ever, and you know that there are certain things at play, but you don't necessarily need to go all the way down there, or you don't need to become obsessed with that either. Becoming obsessed with things is also something to be wary of, right? Yeah. So when it comes to things like the Bible or whatever, there's whatever you believe about them, books like that, and other religious or spiritual books, it's the fundamentals they tell you, of course it comes down to human interpretation, but they all tell you that because they understand that it's, human nature to believe things, and that's convenient. It's a convenient truth, as it were, right? It's inconvenient to study, to question, yeah. So this is the whole thing we see now. They make it as inconvenient as possible to actually start researching the truth. Now we know by now that the truth is within, and it's the kind of thing that if you're a truth seeker, this will naturally come out, right? But of course, having the internet there is great. I mean, I've connected with some lovely people today thanks to the internet, yeah, and there's that's really nice, and it's good because you can talk to people and meet people, and you're on the same level, yeah. And again, we've got this understanding that there's billions of different niches of people talking about different things. Flat Earth is just one of them, but the main thing is we are discerning between knowledge and belief. We're not just sitting here entertaining ourselves. We are working. We're doing the inner work. Yeah, we know that it's a holistic approach. We know that physical maladies are related to mental distress and things like that. And when you see a lot of people in the world acting based on their identity or their perceived identity, or the cognitive dissonance that prevents you going with your heart, yeah, this is really unpleasant to see, because we could be living in a much better world, yeah. And it's great. There's a lot of things that are happening to wake people up, yeah. Again, it's not just flat Earth, globe Earth. It's the medical thing, and all these other things. It's the sovereignty, yeah. Yeah, it's happening. There is an awakening going on, and we're part of it, man. Yeah. Do not be detracted from that. I get distracted from it. I'm as guilty as anyone. I do spend too much time talking to trolls, yeah. But only with the hope that not that you're going to change someone's mind, but you're going to get someone to start thinking critically, and that's it. Job done. Off you go. Plant the seed, yeah. And you know that some seeds don't take. You're putting them in acidic ground, yeah. But that's okay. When you sow seeds, you sow lots of them. Some of them will grow, some of them won't. Some of them get eaten and gobbled up. Yeah, there's always a correlation in nature, and yeah. Talking of correlations, or what's the word? Not abstract. Analogies. That's right, analogies. You'll notice this as well, that whenever you ask about the science of things, you're often the Earth. We're often given analogies, and so you have to start imagining this or that, and it's all very if this and that. Again, people seem to have been conditioned and taught to think in analogies rather than just the direct evidence. Anyway, Sandro, hello. Voy, hi. Oh, someone mentioned me. Oh, hello, Sandro. Adrian Bushell says, is this going to be another 2-hour cry because Globers were teasing? No, they inspire me. They inspire me. Yeah. No complaints, man. I love it. I love just seeing the excuses and the mind games they try to play, and it's all like we said. They're on a different frequency, Adrian. Yeah, they're in this material world where they think that because they've been brought up, and we all have, in this world of often it's competition between people, competition rather than collaboration. Yeah, it's competition about being the same, or what's considered the best or the elite, rather than celebrating everyone's uniqueness. Yeah, it's also about the shaming that is done in society in general. Yeah, the piss taking, the banter. Yeah, I'm not into that. It's never been an attractive way to communicate with people. Sarcasm is quite a low form of wit. I mean, the Brits are great at it. They do it a lot, and they got some good ones, yeah. But I've never really been interested in having like sarcastic conversations, yeah. And yeah, I like to give people the benefit of the doubt. So there's no crying going on. It's all love, man. It's what's the word? I can't think of the word. Tough love, yeah. Because as I said, all it's about is just prompting people to think, yeah. So when you've been through all this stuff, all these different things, all these different reasons and explanations and things that people give you, and it's all up in the air and it's up in space and it's analogies and imaginary stuff. You've been there, and you've looked at contradictions like the Foucault's pendulum, telling you that the Earth spins under Foucault's pendulum, but then you look at how aircraft actually operate in the real world, and they operate above a level stationary Earth. Yeah, there's no Earth spinning underneath things. So these are two things that one is demonstrable in the real world, i.e. flying aircraft in a straight line, yeah, to get wherever you want, and an old school so-called proof, or apparently the Foucault's pendulum was one of the first proofs that the Earth is spinning. Well, that was before aircraft were ever invented, yeah? But this is it. If you start questioning these two things, even if someone says, oh, the Earth spins under bullets, and it's like, well, you look at that and it's like, well, there's the theory because of the presupposition, but in reality that doesn't happen, yeah. And again, pilots, rockets, whatever's going on, whatever's going up in the air or on the ground or just above the surface, there's nothing either going with any assumed rotation of the Earth. That's impossible. It's still ridiculous, yeah, because it would still make a difference to, say, flight times going east or west, or even north or south, yeah? There's no drift when you go north and south. But if you were to hold the Foucault's pendulum as a proof, then you would have to assume that anything suspended above the Earth is going to experience the same thing, but it doesn't. So the fact that a pendulum just kind of moves about and apparently goes in a circle, well, that's exactly what it's doing, as it's observed to be doing. There's no deductive reasoning required, and it's debunked by reality. It's debunked by modern day flying. Yeah. So I will bring up something that I had some chat later on. Yeah. Okay. So I answered your question there, Adrian. Yeah. And no, you don't come here to tell me to get on with it, yeah? What you could do is just listen, yeah? Listen and say, okay, just be a bit humble. We all had to be humble, yeah? Just to realise. Hello, Joyce. Hello, Charlie. Graham 9. Hello there. All right, sweet, man. All right, let's start rocking and rolling. Let's get this a little bit bigger. You've probably seen all this anyway. I'll just make mine smaller. Whee! All right. So, top 10 proofs. This is by... It's just funny because this... this is by a channel called Minute Physics. It's got like 2,600,000 views or something like that, yeah? So it's the top 10 reasons why we know the Earth is round.
Number 10. All the other planets and stars we've ever seen are round, and there's no reason to indicate that the Earth should be any different. Number 9. Time zones. Day and night happen at different times at different places on Earth.
Excuse me. Hang on a minute. We'll slow down. Okay, because it's just like very, very flippant. And I just wanted to do one at a time, right? Okay, so...
Planets and stars we've ever seen are round, and there's no reason to indicate that the Earth should be any different.
Okay. All right. So, yeah, all the other planets, yeah, we know this one. Been through it so many times. Yeah, this is one of the assumptions that Copernicus made. All right. Get this out of your head, that Earth is another planet, okay? It's never been proven. No one's ever seen the solar system. It's just been based on this idea that the sun is at the center, okay? And then he said there's no other... What's fascinating is he said there's no other reason to believe otherwise. I think that... what is he? That the Earth should be any different. No other reason. Except for there's no curvature. We don't look like another planet. We're totally unique. We cannot make any comparisons about size. Yeah? And we don't know that we are orbiting the sun. Yeah? That's just a few. But of course this is what we're taught. It's just a given, right? Yeah, apparently all the other planets are bigger. Yeah. Alright. So, Earth is not another planet. And who knows what's actually going up on in the sky. Again, it's the globies making all the claims. And they often make these other claims because of what they assume you believe. And, you know, a lot of the time you end up kind of defending their own claims against you, which you never made. Yeah? Oh, we know it's a clock in the sky. Yeah, it's a clock. And yeah, the moon, like I said, today is a full moon, and it's Nirvana Day. So this is the day, well, it celebrates, you know, the day that Buddha reached enlightenment. So in Thai, it's I think it's Makabucha or Wisakabucha. I can't remember exactly which one it is. But yeah, Nirvana Day. And I think I heard from a video earlier that it's the snow moon in Canada, I think. I think Billy, was that from Billy Zig? Was that from you, Billy? So yeah, and we know that the moon is again, you know, the causation, and we know there's an association between the tides and the moon. Yes, there's an association, but we don't know which is causing what, right? And it is interesting that the phases of the moon, you know, relate to the tides. What's it all about, really? What's really going on is, you know, if you just think of the Earth as something living, then it's breathing. There's breathing going on, right? There's a change in pressure because of the breathing. Yeah, that makes sense. We're on a living planet. I mean, just as, you know, there are ticks on a living dog. Why not? Yeah. So, what's that? Lev Kung Fu, Tommy Rogers upload. Tommy Rogers. Okay. Yeah, Flat Earth Bear. Hello. The Globies tell you that the nearest star is 3 light years away, and in the same breath they swear on the inverse square law of life. Yeah, very bipolar at best. That's a good one. I'll remember that one. Note to self. Yeah. Good one. Yeah. Dan MC, hello there. Caroline Avenir. Yeah, good. This is it, Caroline. Nobody should say I know. Yeah, I mean, if you, this is it. The moment someone says I know this or that about the Earth or the universe, of course we know that they know the story. They probably know it inside out, and so do we by now. Yeah, but yeah. To say that we know what's going on, it's like being a fish, isn't it? You look up at the surface and you might see lights going by, you know, because of what humans are doing. Yeah, you might be on a fish farm and there's lights that come on and off or pass overhead, or there's trawlers. Who knows? Yeah, people come and fish. Yeah, I mean, I go and feed the fish in the pond in the garden. I just go and give them bread and stuff sometimes, and it's funny because they know. They know someone's coming with food. They're there ready. Yeah, they know something's going to get thrown in. Do they care? Do they know it's human? They don't know what's going on, I'm sure. But they know it's food time. Yeah? That's probably the limit of their thinking. I don't know. And they might be super intelligent and be able to... what's the word? See everything that's going on around them without their eyes. Who knows? They might be super sensitive. Yeah, but that's the thing with animals, isn't it? We, you know, they don't bother themselves with that kind of stuff. But it's not to say they don't think, but they accept more. Yeah. Conscious machine, hello. If the stars were separated by light years, they would not have the same orientation on one horizon to the next. If we were spinning, those stars would have different constellations. That's a really good point. If the stars were not separated by light years, they would, yeah, would not. Oh, okay. So yeah, you're right. I mean, you know, we look up the stars and we see 2, 3 stars or a whole constellation together. We've no idea. There is no way, absolutely no way you could tell how far apart they actually are. But you know, of course, that throughout the ages, people have made stories about them. Yeah, and turn them into images of animals or whatever. We've become quite familiar with them. And what's that? Conscious machine. And my greatest proof, if we were tilting, and that is why the sun moves through seasons, then the stars and the North Star would move with the sun. I've wondered about that. Now, to be fair, in the heliocentric model, they've kind of got it covered, not in a great way, but the way the tilt actually, as it goes around the sun, it's always pointing at Polaris a gazillion miles away, right? You never see it, actually. You never see Polaris in one of those illustrations. I'm not defending the globe, by the way. I'm just saying that in that sense they've got it covered. And the stars, so although that's the thing, the way they have it modelled, you're not necessarily... Is the tilt changing? The tilt's not necessarily changing, is it? It's just the orientation to the sun, but it's still tilting the same way. Yeah. But it does. You're right, though. I think that is one of the points I brought up with one of the guys that went on the TFE thing. Yeah, they're going on about the mount, the equatorial mount, or whatever device he used to follow the sun for the TFE. And it's like, well, yeah, if you believe, yeah, exactly that point, conscious machine, that if you believe that you've got a tilt for the sun, then that the sun should be lining up. Yeah, you're right. There shouldn't be a difference between the sun and the stars. Yeah. Oh, the Sute, hello. Thanks for all the fish. Yeah. Mr. Super Sidewinder, hello. Rune. Yes, they say there is a wobble. Yeah. Where's my... I got some ginger tea. Still recovering from a bit of a cough and a cold. Hi, Tony. All right, then. Let's carry on.
Number 9. Time zones. Day and night happen at different times at different places on Earth. In fact, it's always day somewhere and night somewhere else.
I mean, that's about as childish as you can get, right? Oh, there's day and night. That proves we're on the spinning globe. Oh yeah. Well, it's number 9. It's still at number 9. It's certainly not a top reason, but man, you know, this is it. It's the insanity of it. You know, again, how can that be a proof? This is like, we know the Earth is a spinning globe because, yeah, you see, you could even assume it was a globe, but the Earth is the sun is going around it, causing day and night. That doesn't come into question, does it? Yeah. And that's the thing with Will Duffy, for example, the TFE. You know, there's none of that questioning going on as far as he's concerned. The globe model includes a 93 million mile away sun. And you ask these guys, how do you know? Yeah, because you start arguing about perspective, and then you know, angular size comes into it. So it's okay. So if angular size is a thing, and it is in astronomy, right? They talk about angular size a lot. How the heck did anyone arrive at the decision that the sun and the moon are vastly different sizes and distances? Yeah, if they both are very similar angular size. In fact, I'd say the sun is probably closer than the moon a lot of the time, or maybe they seesaw. Yeah, there's a whole bunch of explanations. You know, you could say that the sun and the moon are going around and around, but they're seesawing at the same time. They're following this sine wave. Yeah, so that would give you the phases. Yeah, and maybe the moon is concave. Who knows? Yeah, there's so many other pieces you could put into the puzzle, but to even begin questioning the official narrative is really, really tough. Most people won't do it. So, you know, the only reason that a lot of you are here, apart from whatever his name was that thought I was crying, is because you took that first step to start questioning it. Yeah. Do you remember when you kind of started questioning some of this stuff? You feel like a bit of a naughty boy standing outside the headmaster's office because you shouldn't be doing it. You know, even internally, these behaviors are just programmed into us to not question. Yeah, it's incredible. But of course, if you're observing that happening in you, then you realize if you're a truth seeker, you see these things happening in you, and that's what any kind of spiritual development is about, right? If you want to reach some kind of peace of mind, if you want to become more rational, if you want to stop being, you know, just a mental mess, then what you have to do, or spiritual progress, spiritual growth, right? You have to start being aware of the subconscious, the ego, the monkey mind, yeah, when it kicks in, yeah. And a lot of the time we just don't notice. Yeah, taking that first step is not easy, because we're not taught. We're not given the tools to do that. We have to work this out on ourselves. And the first thing that happens when we start questioning, you know, the authority is just this feeling that we shouldn't be doing it, because someone somewhere laid down some rules and you got punished when you questioned it. Hi Mojo. Hi Lomond. Hi Brad. Yeah. Lord Racer, hello. Yeah. So, I mean, ridiculous. I think he's going to go on to time zones next. Or no, he mentioned time zones, so... I'll come back to the comments in a second, yeah?
Number 8. The Coriolis effect means freely moving things like cannonballs or hurricane winds are deflected to the right, but only if you're north of the equator. If you're south of the equator, they're deflected left.
Okay, I want to just go back there to this one. This is fantastic. Yeah. It's funny, isn't it? Because they relate these two things, and again, it doesn't happen in reality. So this Coriolis effect that we're seeing with the roundabout, the people on the roundabout passing a ball to each other, it's kind of similar to the Foucault's pendulum one, where you assume that the platform that's spinning underneath is making the ball appear to have a curved path if you're looking at it from an external perspective or reference frame, right? Yeah. I was wondering, this is just a thought that I haven't solidified yet, but we know that latitude lines on the globe model are based on our view of Polaris, right? So you can get as far as the equator and you've got your latitude lines from the North Pole there. But then, with longitude, it's about time, right? So I was kind of wondering, just playing around with the idea, so I just want to put it out there, that if you look at this, the Coriolis effect, let's just very quickly play it.
Balls or hurricane winds are deflected to the right, but only if you're north of the equator. If your hurricane winds are deflected.
Sorry.
Number 8. The Coriolis effect means freely moving things like...
Yeah, the Coriolis effect. So I was wondering if this effect that we see with a platform... You see, if you have a stationary reference frame above and the platform spinning, then when they shoot the ball across, it's going to appear to take a curved path, right? Even though it's going straight. Yeah. So if you just flip that around and you make the reference frame spin, but the Earth is stationary, but something gets passed across, you're still going to see a curved path, right? So I was wondering whether seeing curved paths of aircraft on a globe projection as they go a kind of eastward or westward direction rather than north and south, because it's funny, isn't it? North and south, you're just going to go along those latitude lines, but if an aircraft is going in any kind of direction, east or west, then it's going to have this curved path. So I was wondering if this apparent curved path on a globe on a projection of a map that's been turned into a globe is somehow including the passage of time. So it's as if the path of the aircraft, in reality it's straight, but because the globe not only represents latitude but also represents longitude, or basically not the globe necessarily, but maps in general, the coordinate system, then obviously time is passing as the aircraft moves. So I don't know, I was just kind of thinking about that and whether it really makes a difference, if you see what I'm saying. But either way, what we have here is something that we do not see in reality, right? We understand what the Coriolis effect should be, and of course he put it down, and then they mention like hurricanes either side of the equator. Well, and they say that's because the Earth is spinning and that's a Coriolis effect. But actually, what should be happening, if you're assuming that there is a Coriolis effect happening on Earth, on a globe Earth, is that aircraft should be flying while the Earth passes underneath them. And obviously it depends on which direction they're going. If they're going kind of a off north-south direction, then the Earth is supposed to be sliding underneath you there. But that doesn't happen. It doesn't happen in reality. So there is no Coriolis effect in reality. Yes, there might be hurricanes going in different directions either side of the equator. Again, this is not a direct cause and effect of the Earth assumed to be spinning, yeah? So we don't see a real Coriolis effect with aircraft on the Earth, as would be assumed is what's happening with the Earth. Not seen, not experienced, yeah? Pilots just go from place to place. As far as the pilot's concerned, the Earth is level and stationary, yeah? It's not going anywhere. So, I mean, for the hurricanes going different directions either side of the equator, fine, it happens. Don't deny that. I just relate that to like putting your hand through water or even through air. If you can see it, then you're going to create these vortexes on either side, and they're going to go in different directions. Yeah. And you see the same with aircraft wings. So if you you disturb the air or the medium, liquid or air, with heat, you can see that you've filled up your swimming pool on a summer's day. You've seen the swirls go off in different directions. Yeah, this is it. If you were an observant kid, and you just watched nature and you wondered at these things and you kind of thought about these, come back to you. Yeah, this comes back to you when you start questioning the globe. If you didn't, if you start wondering whether you know it to be true or you just believe it to be true. Yeah. So let me just have another sip before we move on. Yeah, so that there is no Coriolis effect going on or above the Earth, none. But they say that this is a proof that you live on a globe. It's what should happen, but it's what doesn't happen. Yeah. So it's just debunked by reality. This is it. The amazing thing about this is reality debunks the globe for you. You don't need to necessarily think critically. You just need to accept reality as it appears to us. Yeah? Alrighty. Okay. Let's carry on.
Cannonballs or hurricane winds are deflected to the right, but only if you're north of the equator. If you're south of the equator, they're deflected left. Number 7. Triangles. If you walk 10,000 kilometers straight along the Earth's surface, turn 90 degrees to your right, walk 10,000 kilometers more, turn right again, and walk another 10,000 kilometers, you'll be back to where you started, having successfully made a triangle with 3 90-degree angles. As any geometry student can tell you, this is impossible on a flat surface.
Yeah. They love using triangles, yeah? Because with a triangle, you've got these angles, and well, they talk about angles because of the angles and the degrees that are used on a map. So fundamentally, you have a longitude and latitude system, or a latitude system at least, that was developed from angles of observation. Yeah, but the thing is, this is an angle of perspective. Yeah, so when you turn that into something 2D and you give your lengths and your heights a fixed length and height, that is not at all relevant. Suddenly they've started using these mathematical principles that don't actually apply, because the globe Earth model is a perspective model. Yeah, it comes from looking at the stars and seeing how close or high up they appear from the horizon. This is all perspective. And then the globies will say, oh, well, how high is your sun then above the flat Earth? It's like, well, there's no way of knowing. They want to put a number on it, and they say, well, if you use a triangle and you do the maths, then yeah, you can use these Pythagorean or whatever theories to work out the height of one side of your right angle triangle. Yeah, but this is it. It's not a solid fixed line going up to the sun or the stars. We can't tell, really. I mean, yes, it matches what we can plot out as far as getting to the equator. Yeah. So what you have is maps and map projections using degrees based on perspective. So in a sense, they're using perspective mathematics. or geometry, yeah. And it's not that we actually see perspective in a geometric way necessarily, but it's the closest thing they can do to describe it mathematically, is to use geometry, not trig. But then they go and use trig, and so they're confused. They just think because they got an angle and a length of one of the sides, oh, I got to use trig for that. It's not what. No, because the angle is based on an observer's. So if you want to talk about how big does something actually look in someone's eye, yeah, you can't. This is it. You talk about people measuring stuff. I say go and get. If you can't measure it with a ruler. Yeah, I mean, how big does something look in your eye? I mean, it's not. It's an intangible measurement, right? Versus a tangible measurement. Yes, if you get a solid object and you can measure that, but when you're making observations, even if you can get results and predictions from those observations, you're not making tangible measurements. So you cannot then convert perspective into something in which you would assume tangible sides of a triangle. Yeah, so it's totally wrong. Yeah, but this is it. They think that by applying mathematical formula to the flat Earth, well, obviously what they want to do is to want to find ways that, well, flat Earth doesn't work because I can't get the maths to work. So we know it's already there. The maths is already there. Nothing changes. The predictions are what they are. Yeah, what we see in the sky has been described as non-Euclidean geometry. Yeah, but it's all done on a flat plane anyway. Yeah, so yeah, when he talked about drawing a triangle, well, okay, on a globe map projection, and you do a triangle, you turn 90 degrees because it's all, yeah, there's these. It's not a level Earth, yeah, and it's based on the coordinates rather than actual physically going left, right, turning right angles, right? So again, it's just like trying to apply a model and saying, oh, see, it works for that, but it doesn't work in reality. But has anyone ever gone and done that? And either way, if you did that on the Earth, you would be following a map and you'd be following a coordinate system. But if you actually walked, thousands of miles in one direction, turned right, really, and then again, doesn't necessarily mean that you will end up in the same place in the real world, but you will if you do it on a sphere like that. Yeah, it doesn't make it reality. Next one.
Number 6. The sun, in general, gets lower and lower in the sky as you travel away from the equator, and you can use this to directly measure the Earth's curvature.
Directly measure. Okay? Again, that's true. That's an observation that's true. The sun does appear to get lower in the sky, but it changes throughout the year, right? Okay. But then he just said that is a direct measure. No, that is totally false information. That is wrong. It's an indirect. It's not even really a measurement. It's an indirect observation. Yeah, it's an observation. It's indirect. You do not know what the sun is to start with. They're assuming all sorts of things. Notice he's drawn a flat Earth there anyway. Yeah. So yeah, again, the sun's altitude changes, and it's because of perspective. So if you are going to employ mathematics and you're going to convert things from what the observer sees into an orthographic view, then you need to illustrate that orthographic view in non-Euclidean geometry. If you're using, geometry to explain what's happening to the sun, or what we see happening to the sun, not what's actually happening, yeah? Makes sense, right? Sorry, let me just go back through the chat a minute. So yeah, this is totally bad. It wouldn't be so bad if you say, well, this is an indirect calculation. Yeah? But to say this is a direct measurement, again, it just shows the bamboozle, what's been done. Yeah, and of course, no wonder people believe and then claim that they know we live on a globe because they know these things, they know the story, and they've been told that that's a direct measure of curvature. And because you're told that at such a young age and you're not taught to think of anything else other than that, it's very difficult to break free from that. Yeah. Okay, I'll come back to the trap. Oh, what's that, Tony? Triangles have straight sides, not curved sides. Triangles cannot be made on a curved surface because the angles would never add up to 180 degrees. Euclidean planar geometry would never work on a sphere. Thank you, Tony. That's really nicely put, yeah? Triangles have straight sides, yeah. So he was drawing triangles with curved sides right there, yeah? Bendy sides, following the bendy water. And so, yeah, that's a really good point. The triangles cannot be made on a curved surface because the angles would never add up to 180 degrees. Euclidean planar geometry would never work on a sphere. Nice one. I love that. Thank you. This is what, you know, some of you guys say it so much better than me. And of course you kind of, I love it. Thank you. Yeah. And it shows you've thought about it, right? You haven't just kind of accepted it, right? So, you know, when Tony says that, it's like, yeah, that a lot of thought's gone into that, right? To put that down in a couple of sentences is fantastic. That's what this is all about. And, you know, this is another thing that you ask a globe earth believer to explain why they think it's that way, or how do you make a measurement. Yeah, how do you make a measurement of Earth curve? How have you ever done that? Yeah, and that you're too stupid to understand. I'm not going to bother explaining. You know, but they can't. It doesn't matter how many times you ask them, or you just, you know, hey, you say, all right, I'm crap at maths. Explain it to me like I'm a 6-year-old. If that's what you think I am, yeah. But they still won't, because they don't know. They actually don't know themselves why they believe this stuff. Yeah. It's not clear in their own minds. They might be able to do the mathematics, but they don't understand why they're doing the mathematics. And so, yeah, when you say something like that, Tony, it shows that you've thought about it to condense it down into that. And yeah, kudos. What's that, Sute? Hexagonate your position. Footballs don't use triangles to make a round surface. Oh, Ashman Karoz. Does anyone remember Tiger Dan? Yeah, I remember interacting with him once, and he didn't want any help. He just wanted to do his own thing. He didn't want to collaborate on anything. He said, "Yeah, I got it," and then he just rage quit. Yeah, so a lot of us have been there since the beginning. Yeah, since all this took off. Because he was going to do a map. He was trying to do his own map. People were trying to help him, or at least say, hey, you know, but he was just starting from scratch, and he didn't have any cartography training. Excuse us. They call it curved linear now. Yes. Who was that? Dan MC. Post, hello there. Ever noticed how you can flip the globe 530 degrees on Google Earth? Yeah, it is. Yeah, okay, 500 and what was it? 540, okay. Yeah, yeah. Again, kudos to anyone taking the time to put these videos out there and do it. It's time consuming, and they're getting less and less noticed these days. Yeah, Mr. Cheswick was saying the other day, wasn't he? You know, it's like, he's got a good point. It's more about he wants to focus on getting out there, meeting people in the flesh, music, comedy, yeah, and in a way we are very connected through the internet, and we've made friends and met people. We've created a network, but at the same time we're disconnected from the real people that we actually want to reach, yeah. And actually, when you get out there are a lot of people in the real world, yeah, that are, everyone's got issues, right? Every single one. Doesn't matter how rich or poor you are. We've all got issues to deal with. We've all got, just stuff going on that's just like can be overwhelming, yeah. And when you start, but when you put it into perspective, you look at the big picture, you realize that, in some ways it's healthy to realize that I'm insignificant. I'm, whatever is going on in my mind about the future, about the past, about this or that, the beefs I have with people. Again, that's why whoever it was, I can't remember your name, the Globie that was in the chat, thinking that this is some kind of crying about people making fun of you. It's like, no, water off a duck's back, mate. Yeah, but that's where they are. That's the hole they are in. Yeah. So as far as I'm concerned, the globe is a result of observations which are governed by perspective. Yeah. And that's how we get that curve. We don't see a curve. We don't actually we see parallel lines. Yeah. This is, I think, an important thing. It's just that perspective has been, rather than using trigonometry to describe these converging parallel lines, non-Euclidean geometry is used, because obviously, there was a thing years ago that was considered really, really revolutionary to be able to do that. Hello, Kaji-san. Nice to know that you're in Turkey. It must be nice. Have a coffee for me. Send one over. Oh, love Turkish coffee. There is a Turkish restaurant in Phuket somewhere. It's very good. The Family Restaurant is called. Don't know if it's still around. Yeah. What's that? Brad Forrester? At Conscious is dead ass asleep. A new flat earther, Trump troll robot. Yeah. Okay. Alright, let's carry on.
Pick two places a few hundred miles directly north and south of each other, and at noon measure the shadows cast by a vertical meter stick at each location.
I love this one.
You can use the shadow lengths to figure out the angle between the sticks, and once you add in how far apart they are, you can calculate the Earth's curvature.
Yes. Okay. Fantastic example. Yeah, so again, mathematical manipulation, right? And look, if that's what happens, you look at those shadows, yeah? If that's what's actually happening, I don't know if this will show up if I'm actually... what you essentially have is a local sun. The sun is between these points, but high enough to give each of them a shadow. If he's saying that's what is observed on the Earth, then there's absolutely no difference when you just get rid of that curve, you flatten it out, and the sun is there between those. This is it. They talk about the sun coming in parallel lines. So the sun is supposed to be, 400 times larger than the Earth or the Moon? I can't remember. Yeah. So it doesn't matter how far away it is. All that light should be blasting the entire side of the Earth, right? But then they give you a diagram like this claiming that this is how we know the Earth is curved, when in fact this illustrates that you could only get those shadows if the sun was smaller, as has been drawn, even though they assume that it's much, much larger. Yeah, you wouldn't have, if the sun was coming in parallel lines to the Earth, flat or round, yeah, and it was massive, you wouldn't have the shadows, because the sunlight would be coming in on either side of those posts, regardless of any curvature. Yeah. So again, it's ridiculous, because, you know, in this case, you should have an orthographic view that doesn't involve perspective, that doesn't have things decrease in angular size over distance. But they've employed this shrinking of the sun, and they always do with any of these illustrations, rather than illustrating a sun that is much, much bigger and just kind of sending all this light onto Earth. Yeah. So yeah, you can calculate where those lines would appear to meet in the center of a globe, yeah, based on this local sun between these sticks, casting those shadows either side. Yeah, you can work out the distance, and this is another problem that the globies have, is they think that when you're talking about a flat Earth, it's like it's cutting off all of the curve, so you've got less distance to cover. It's like, well, no, the distances are what they are. They don't change. What's happened is you've got a globe that is basically a flat surface that has a certain distance from the pole to the equator, and to another pole which is just an equal distance from the equator than it was to the original pole, and of course on the other side. Yeah. So to get one latitude line, for example, what you have is just one straight line. It could be a piece of string or whatever that's 21,000 kilometers long? Can't remember exactly. But then that becomes a circumference. Yeah? And so, yeah, whatever distance you are measuring on there is just it's then converted into an arc distance. It doesn't mean it's a curve. It doesn't mean it was curved to start with. It just means that you started with a piece of string or a length, a certain length, and then you converted that length into degrees, 60 nautical miles per degree. Yeah, and so the distance becomes relative to this assumed center, using some pi or whatever. Yeah. It's a calculation, that's all. What's that, Brad? The model is hard. I know the curvature is non-existent. If we were able to take the Hubble telescope to the ocean, we could probably see a different continent with the right atmospheric conditions. You're probably right, Brad. I would imagine that's maybe what they're hiding. Yeah, there's no way that you've got this, like, what, at least a third of the Earth that's just water with no land. And again, no one goes there anyway. We wouldn't know. Yeah? One Angry Goy, hi. 1958 Encyclopedia Britannica, Book 2, section on Antarctica, said there is a dome over Earth, and at the centre the height is 72 miles, and at 80 degrees south it is 13,000 feet. We can see the firmament. Yeah. I'm sure I've seen that written out somewhere, yeah. Amazing, isn't it? Yeah, so the knowledge, the so-called knowledge, has definitely changed. Yeah, we've got the book burnings going on. Yeah. Oh man, I remember when I was a kid collecting a whole, what do you call it, series of Britannicas from an old lady that had had them for years. She was throwing them out. Oh man, if only I'd held on to those. I think I was collecting for as a scout jumble sale or something like that. Oh man, if I'd known then what I know now, I would have kept those buggers. Yeah. Where's my tea? Hang on, I need some water. Let's get things going again.
Number 5. The stars at night change as you go north or south. For example, Orion is upside down if you're in Australia. Number 4. Ferdinand...
Again, I mean, need we really... There's no point in spending much time on that one, but the stars go upside down. Yes, they do. Yeah, they do change. Yeah, I see a dramatic change here in Phuket. Yeah. But then when you think about that, you could think that actually, that could lead you to thinking about a concave universe. Yeah, because of the way we see the stars and the moon in different ways. It's actually very, very difficult to model in any way. This is one thing that actually led me to understand that, you know, looking at the sun and the moon and the stars is never, ever, ever going to prove anything. Of course, when you first start getting into flat Earth, that's what you're looking at, because all the globe Earth proofs are based on looking at the sky. So you start looking at the sky, yeah, and you start thinking about, but then you realize, well, it could be this, it could be that, but then you realize the possibilities are endless and we don't know. You know, you can't just assume one and apply it to all the others. It's just, it's not a done deal. Far from it. Yeah? So, what's that, Kaji-san? Our official astronomy knowledge is the only one among all sciences that dates back to the hundreds and hundreds of years old, with very little updates despite the major advancement in technology. Yeah, good point. That's a really good point, Kaji. Yeah. Yeah. It's like they've kept this going. I mean, the last video I did was about the Egyptians and the Greeks and whatever. Thing is, I mean, we don't even know how long ago they were around, actually, and we don't know what they believed either. They might well have worked on a flat Earth cosmology, but we don't know. Yeah. Anyway, what's up next? Oh, he was talking about local stars again. If you're, this is so obvious. It's so obvious. If you're seeing local sun, local stars, local moon, yeah, you're looking up. I mean, it's funny. There's a Thai phrase about a toad stuck in a pot, and of course the toad is looking up through the pot. And you can see it sometimes. I've seen toads trapped down a well. I remember at the elephant sanctuary I was working at, yeah? I looked down this big, deep well, and there's a frog down there. And I'm thinking, oh man, poor frog, because it's never, ever, ever going to get out. That's its life. Its life is going to be in that well. Yeah? The water would never get high enough. And that would be its world view. Up through this well. So what would you know by seeing things going across your very limited view? Yeah. So it's just in Thai it's gop dit nai ang. a frog gop in ang. Ang is like those, you know, those big earth jars, the ones that you can almost kind of, it depends, it could be any size, yeah. But you can, of course, they got them over here for collecting lots and lots of water. Yeah. So yeah. Anyway, where was I? Yeah. Oh, Magellan. Yeah, they even have songs about this, don't they? In the US, we don't learn about Magellan in the UK. We learned about Columbus, and of course, we had the ship, the Matthew ship, going from Bristol to Newfoundland. But Magellan is just not in our history. We don't talk about it.
And Magellan and many people afterwards circumnavigated the Earth. That means he left headed west, continued going west, and came back to where he started, still going west. Actually, Magellan was dead, but one of his ships, led by Juan Sebastian Elcano, finished the journey. If you head west and circumnavigate the Earth yourself, you'll be able to tell because you'll observe one fewer sunrise than everyone who stays at home.
Anafi, hi. Yeah. So usual thing, yeah. This, you know, this is so old. This is elementary stuff, isn't it? Really. Of course, you can go round and round your pond, yeah. But so far, no one's gone north to south. and according to FPV Angel's map, the east to west traveling doesn't happen. You don't continually go around. Yeah, so this is actually something to kind of think about, actually, isn't it? Because are people doing that? There are parts of the ocean that they're not going across, where those continents might be completely different places apart, and you wouldn't know because no one's crossing from one to the other. Yeah. So, yeah. Anyway, on with that.
Number 3, the horizon. Ships on the ocean or tall Chicago buildings viewed over Lake Michigan disappear bottom first.
God, it kind of pains me to go over this stuff. I mean, gosh. You know the score. Look at that. Low elevation. I mean, the camera view is really, really low. And so that, of course, cuts off what we see in the distance. Just because there are waves. The waves get larger as they get further out. That's naturally what's occurring. But, of course, in our vision, they get smaller. So, of course, a larger wave is going to cut off something that is a much smaller apparent angular size in the distance. There's diffraction going on. Yeah, all sorts. Yeah. And, yeah, as soon as you go up, you gain height, then debunks all of that. Yeah. I know, you're right, Kaji-san. These arguments are from 300 years old. Some gal bullshit. I know, man, and I'm sorry to put you through it. Yeah, but it's as I said early on, we're struggling to get these things out now. Yeah, and I'm trying to put these out in a way that the titles will get the attention of who knows. Let's see how it works out. What's that INFE? A stone tablet was recently found with accurate star field on it, said to be 4,000 years old. Really? Interesting. Yeah, and how many billions of miles are we supposed to have flown through space in that time? Yeah, this is it. Nothing changes, does it? Nothing new under the sun. Yeah, and I'm starting to feel that even more now. When people say nothing new under the sun, the tech, the politics. These people could be time travelers. They could be just living eternally, just doing it over and over again. Who knows? And they could just, this time I'll be a mad scientist, or this time I'll be an actor. Yeah, either way, they're going to be successful. Yeah, nothing new under the sun. I think civilized again. Something my mum always said about one thing that she remembers from Bible or religious teachings is that nation will rise against nation, a prediction made by Jesus, I suppose. And it's so true. But this is it doesn't matter. This could be any time. Any time in history. Yeah, Adrian. No, it's all right. No, I've been doing okay recently, but it was it's been a quite a heavy cold. Yeah, very snotty cold. Yeah, so it's all right. Yeah. But thanks for your concern.
And you can see the sunset twice if you watch it lying down and then quickly stand up.
Yep.
The simple fact is, if the Earth were flat, there wouldn't be a horizon beyond which things could disappear. So from across Lake Michigan, you'd be able to see all of Chicago.
Okay, so another false assumption, yeah? If the Earth were flat, you wouldn't see a horizon. Again, that's totally ignoring how our eyes work, yeah? It's nothing to do with the shape of the Earth, really. Yeah? It's, horizons are what our eyes do, yeah? So again, we've been totally deceived, and that's totally false information.
Chicago, as well as the Rocky Mountains. Number 2, during a lunar eclipse.
Oh, hang on, did he say we should... Oh, gosh. So I'm not familiar with the geography of the area, but did you just say
Chicago, as well as the Rocky Mountains.
you should? So you should also see the Rocky Mountains. Again, presuming that they're not going to change in angular size. Yeah. Okay, Divine Demiurge, you're off, are you? Okay, the Jolly Man, hello. INFE, the ball Earth is an imaginary mathematical construct that does not exist in reality. Exactly that. Nicely said. Oh, Tony Dixon again. Multiply 360 degrees in a circle sphere by 365.24 days in a year. Then divided by 5,280 feet in a mile equals 24,902. Then move the decimal point 3 places to the right to get 24,902 miles. No sticks needed. Voila! Nice one. Yes, Earthship Air, you're right, and I'd keep referring to that. The demonstrable physics of water is all we need. Yeah, you're right. We don't need 10 reasons. We need one: curvature. My son's got a cough as well. I'm not the only one in the house with a chronic cough. Yeah, so it's not a chronic illness. It is literally a lot of phlegm coming out after having a rough cold. Yeah, because we've got a family of 7 here, and it just goes through us one by one. Yeah. So it was coming. I stayed isolated for a while. Yeah, but it got me in the end.
Number 2. During a lunar eclipse, the shadow of the Earth on the moon is curved. And number 1. We know the Earth is round because we have photographic evidence.
There you go. Top proof. Dun dun dun. We've got photos of the Earth from space. Yeah. Incredible, isn't it? Yeah. Yeah. And this was the first thing we started looking into. Again, the curvature thing was like they kept us so distracted from talking about just measuring curvature. Yeah, it's all about images and models and everything, yeah, and the sun. But yeah, anything but talking about the curve. Because when you start talking about that, oh, that's stupid, that's ridiculous. This changes everything, says Post. Yeah. Oh, it's funny, isn't it? Yeah. I think that's it, though. Well, obviously, it's number 1 now. So, let's just see what else he says.
This episode of Minute Physics is supported by...
Right. Yeah. So, they're calling it... I'm just going to go back to the globe. Again, they're giving us these orthographic views, but they're not taking perspective into consideration whatsoever. Ah, yes, there was something else I wanted to show you. Give me a second. I'll bring it up before I forget. Ah, there it is. So let's just get rid of that one. Okay. So let's bring this over here. Talking of, hi Kevin, thank you. All right. What's that, Kaji-san? The photos are actually an argument against them because they are so easily debunkable. Photoshop is pretty good, but not perfect. Yeah, good point. Good point. Yeah, you got some really good points there, Kaji. Like it. One angry guy said, that's what I said in 2014, and I'm still waiting for a real picture. Graham 9, show me your Rocky Mountains. Another great title to get. Yeah, okay. All right. Uncommon Sense, hello there. Post, number 1 proof should have been because my teacher told me. That's true. Yeah. So I was the other day fishing because it'd be lovely to get consensus on this, on what people really think. So I was just having some conversation with some globies, and so here's my question. Can you see it properly? I said, stand in front of a friend with a curved earth between you. I can't remember what was said before this, but it was, I'm basically talking about the curvature. Which one does the water flow towards, and which one does it flow away from? That was the question. And I was actually really pleasantly surprised with the answer, because he comes back with, stand in front of a friend. Okay, repeating the question. Stand in front of a friend with a curved earth between you. Which one does the water flow towards, and which one does it flow away from? Oh my word, you finally got it. Miracles do happen. Exactly. Which one does the water flow to? Neither. Home Depot all the way. You finally understood. The water stays between the two observers, assuming, of course, there is a basin, lake, etc. You understood that it's no different. Congrats, no bottom or top on the globe. Yeah? So conceptually, you're supposed to have curve. This is someone who really does believe in that bendy, curvy water, yeah? And you would have a hump or a curve between you, and, from each other's perspective, from each person's perspective, the curve is going down and away from them, yeah? But, he's got the perfect answer here. I love it. It's not flowing anyway. So all of a sudden, this is just a great example of totally ignoring reality in place of a model. Because, of course, in reality, water flows down an incline, down a curve, yeah? And it's so simple that it sounds so stupid when you bring this up. But it just highlights the stupidity of the presuppositions they have. Oh, what was funny about this guy, I think he was an engineer student. That's what was mental about this as well. An engineering student. This is the shit they're teaching engineering students. Yeah? Of course, the students dealing with theory. They're not dealing with their practical reality. Never left school, probably. Yeah, no, it's just like, this is the thing. People will ignore reality and think they're doing science. And another thing, I suppose, worth repeating, and something I tried to explain to some globies recently, is that you've got to understand that maths is just a language for describing. Like we said, you can't necessarily use a maths. You can, because obviously you can create the kind of 3D vision that we have for computer games and things like that. So there's obviously mathematical ways of doing it, but what's happening is you're creating 3D on a 2D surface, yeah? But so you can mathematically convert what we see, and it has nothing to do whether the ground we're on is curved or flat. It's about, it's about understanding how our eyes work, right? So yes, you can do it mathematically, and it's likely some form of geometry, right? Non-Euclidean geometry rather than trigonometry. Man, I got lost there. Sorry. Yeah. The fact is that the maths has been used to bamboozle, and although you can have a mathematical proof, it's not a physical proof. Yeah. Yes, uncommon sense, as if being a student gives it some kind of authority. Yeah. Okay, exactly, Kevin. Thank you. Well, Kevin Wims, you said what I was going to say. Yes, maths is a language, and just like language, you can use it to lie. Exactly. Yeah. And I was going to say, I can recount a story like the Three Little Pigs or something, or whatever for my kids because I've read it so many times, right? Doesn't mean it's true. I know the story. Yeah. And the same with mathematics. You can use it to describe. It's a language, so you can describe. If I just say, if I say I've got two apples plus 2 apples, how many apples have I got? And if you said 4, you'd be wrong, because I didn't have any apples to start with. I just imagined it. Yeah, but all of a sudden there's a picture in your mind of 4 apples because Nick said 2 plus 2. Adrian Burchell, good point. Earth curve is not the same as hill going down from the observer. Why are you still struggling with this? There's no struggle. No, the struggle you see, Adrian, yes, there is no difference, all right? But you go ahead and see if you can demonstrate or measure a difference between a change in elevation and the curve you believe that you have on the Earth, right? Go and measure a difference between horizontal level and the curved level. Yeah, this is what it comes down to. We can all imagine it, and we can say, oh, well, elevation is different to curve. Well, where's the curve? Where is there a measure of the difference between horizontal level and curve? There isn't one. How do you discern between a change in elevation and a curve? You can't. You can't. Because actually, water flows down curves. It doesn't matter how you want to imagine it. It doesn't matter what mental gymnastics you do. Reality debunks the globe BS. Because water does flow down curves. So it cannot be on a curved Earth. That's not what's happening in reality. Yeah? No maths, no models, no presuppositions, just the water going down curves. No, I didn't miss the point, Adrian. Didn't miss the point. You've missed the point. Yeah, this is it. This is what you come to. Yeah, this is what you realize when you critically think about it. Yeah. It takes a while. It takes a while to come back round. It's like I was saying earlier. You know, you get distracted by all these models and ideas, and you think about it, and then how can I test this? Yeah. But it's true, isn't it? Comes down to after all that, it comes down to the simplicity of nature. And this is why this topic is so important, because it programs you to totally ignore nature, totally ignore reality, in favor of some models concocted by people who never measured any curvature in the first place. Never did any science. This is it. That's the point about maths. Maths is not science. Maths can only describe science. And again, this channel was about, what was it, minute physics. There was no bloody physics in there. There was just religious rhetoric. Explanations to go with a model. Yeah? This is what you have to understand. You have to discern between knowledge and belief. Yeah? So we know that we don't know where we are. We know that the Earth is not a globe. We know that we believed it. But why? Why do we believe it? Not because of anything that we saw or experienced on Earth. Yeah, Jolly Man, canal locks, yeah. What's that one? Someone's put a long comment. Tony Dixon. Hang on. Eine uncommon sense. Yeah, it takes a while for some. Yeah, it's different stages, isn't it? Yeah. INFE Bullwise, standing on a boat, the water curves down and away from you, all around you, 360 degrees. This is not exactly. It's not observed. Yeah, I was gonna. Yeah, I think a point about perspective as well is, you know, the horizon being at eye level. Obviously, if you have an actual rise or a hill in front of you, it will appear above your eye level, right? Yeah. So, for example, if we were looking into a bulge of curvature, which of course we're not, it could well it should appear above your eye level. But I mean, even when they draw that on the globe, it's wrong. It should be, it should be curving down and away from you. But I mean, they have to tilt these guys and have their lines of sight going into the surface just to make their model work. Ugh. But yeah, you're right. It's not observed. We observe flat, and we know what it looks like. We know what flatness looks like. We know what a curve looks like. We know what an edge looks like. Yeah? We know what a horizon is. None of them have anything to do with the globe. Tony Dixon, supposed curve having to be calculated using a formula should tell people it cannot be measured, which isn't scientific. Yes! The scientific method is to directly measure, not calculate from false axiom. Yes, this is it. And who was it in chat there, the Globie? Adrian. Okay? Read what Tony has written. Adrian, okay? It's so true. If you want to talk about science, you got to do direct measurements. And even if you do direct measurements, it doesn't mean that you know the true cause, like gravity, yeah? This is another one. There's no direct measurement of gravity. No one's, no one's measuring this force of gravity all on its own. You need a mass in the medium of air. Yeah? And so you can weigh the mass. You can measure the speed that it drops. Okay? And you can measure the impact, the force of the impact, yeah? Fine. You can predict it. That's real physics. But there is still no correlation to the cause that we can confirm or verify scientifically. Yeah? So in that sense, the mathematics works. It's fine for describing mass, volume, forces, speed or acceleration, however you want to word it. Yeah? But it doesn't prove anything beyond that. So this is where people get confused that, science is about making predictions, and if I drop this 1 kilogram ball, it will, for 1 meter it will hit with a certain amount of force. Yeah, you can predict that. You can predict that a pendulum won't hit you in the nose and all that stuff, yeah? It's all real physics. But that's it. It all changes when you get into water, when you change the medium. Yeah? But it doesn't necessarily change if you imagine yourself on Mercury or Jupiter. I've got this vivid memory of a picture of an astronaut on Jupiter kind of trying to crawl, because you're told that if you were on Jupiter, because it's got such a large mass, you would feel heavier, 10 times heavier or something like that, yeah? I vividly remember that picture. But that's all we've got. You can make that assumption once you've established the fact that you can measure how fast something will fall or the force of the impact does allow you to make calculations, just as we saw that you can assume your length of string is a circle and then it's got a radius, and your angles of the shadows can give you a center to the earth radius, yeah? Sure, it all works. Doesn't mean it's true, because there are multiple possible causes and causes of that effect. Yeah? And this is what it is about being a truth seeker. It's like understanding that, okay, all right, there's many possibilities, and I don't have to believe a single one of them. There could be something else going on that I'm unaware of. So the whole point here is to be free of any belief. And you can accept, you can say, all right, okay, there's your model, fine, okay, you've got a working model. You apply the physics to your globe and you say the globe, Earth, has a certain mass and it's attracting, and then you've got the inverse square law. You can apply all that. Makes sense. Yeah, fine. It's a working model. But it doesn't prove anything about reality. You've just taken a measurement. It's just like algebra, right? You take one thing and then you can devise the rest. Doesn't make it true. One angry goy, how they changed the order of operations. Adrian Bushell, I just posted 2 examples of how curve is measured. Now will you just ignore it or dismiss it? I don't know where you posted them, mate. I'm not looking at the YouTube channel right now. And if it wasn't a direct measurement, if it was just an observation, if you're talking about surveying or making observations into the sky, we've already covered that, yeah? It's all governed by perspective. Yeah? Alright. So, and it's not a case of ignoring and dismissing it, Adrian. It's a case of taking it on board and thinking about it and understanding whether it's it's knowledge or a belief. Yeah? Okay, Joyce B. I'll tell you what, Adrian. So are you saying, Adrian, that you agree with what that guy said? That actually you have water on a curved surface that isn't flowing anywhere? Bendy water? You actually believe this? Are you going to back this? What this guy said here? You're actually going to try and tell us that you know that water curves and doesn't flow down curves? Joyce B. The Nile River strongly supports a level plain earth. Yeah, otherwise the Nile would need to flow uphill at points, defying gravity. Exactly. I can't remember the distance, but it's, yeah, the elevation. It is down, it's because of elevation, but it's just, this, isn't it less than 100 meters or something, elevation that it goes down, but it's over hundreds of miles. Yeah. So, yeah, you're right, Joyce. Reality debunks the whole globe notion. Kaji-san. Maths and physics formula were done by modelizing real-life experiment on physical object and not... Yeah, oh, man, I'm loving the points you're making, man. Math and physics formula were done by modelizing real-life experiments on physical object and not the other way around. Yeah, okay. The Jolly Man. Does the moon have a counter-rotating iron-nickel core 1/6 the size of Earth's? Nope, the moon hasn't got one. Haha. I mean, hasn't got one? Oh, that's a good point. Do they just say it's hollow then, or just like nothing going on in there, or they don't? Yeah, sure, there's some claims. Keith Wims, sorry. We believe it because as a model, it all fits together quite nicely. Yes, the balls spinning around, gravity like string, etc. Our brains like simple things, but it's not what we see with our own eyes. Yeah, nicely said, Kevin. Sorry, Post. What have you said there? Oh, dear. So, yeah, Ronald Layton, spherical geometry has beautiful balanced mathematics. Yeah, and of course I can understand how that appeals. Yeah, that appeals to your OCDers. Yeah. Adrian, you said, yes, I do know that water curves. It can flow down a hill, but it does not flow around Earth curve. There is a difference. Yeah? Demonstrate it. Show us the bendy water. Can you show water? Has anyone ever measured it? I don't think they have. You know, a horizontal line across water, 3 miles, 6 miles, 10 miles, and a physical measurable drop. With one of these, with an actual measure, tangible measure of bendy water. Yeah, but this is it, Adrian. There is nowhere on Earth that you will see water not flowing down a curve. Yeah, and if you assume that the horizon is a curve, just go to that point. Go to that point where you think the horizon is a curve, and you can't. This is it. You cannot. No one ever has a side-on orthographic view of the world. It's all from our eyes, yeah? It's all in your mind, Adrian. You can't prove it. Yeah? And it doesn't mean that you're smarter than your average flat earther who's just saying, measure the curve. Yeah? INFE show with the bendy water. Poncho Pete 2015 post. Yeah, denial, not just a river in Africa. Oh, sorry, Tony. I'm just skipping there. Hang on. Whoa. Tony says, when there is the very slightest of inclinations on the to the surface of a body of water, it will always flow and find its level. A horizontal straight line across the entire surface. It is. You're right, Tony. It's as simple as that. Yeah. And Adrian, sorry to disappoint you. It is as simple as that. Yeah. It really is. Adrian says, once again, believing water should flow down Earth curve just proves. Well, no. It's not a case of believing what it should or shouldn't do. It's not about belief. It's about reality. Yeah? It's about what the physics of water does. Yeah? We can all imagine it. But you cannot prove it. You've never seen it. You've never measured it. You've only ever imagined it. It doesn't happen in reality. There is, it's. I know it's difficult to get your head round, but the fact is that in reality, water flows down curves. So then, if you have a guy, if you're wherever you're standing on the Earth, yeah, whenever you're standing. Here's a flat Earth, but we can make it curved, yeah? Alright, so I'm standing here. Alright? The globe Earth is going down and away from it. Now it doesn't matter how I orient it, yeah? But we'll just keep it like this. Alright? I'm standing here. The Earth is curving, whatever way you want to do it. Okay? It's curving down away from me. But then I got another guy standing over here. Alright? It's physically impossible to have this happen on Earth where the water would not flow to either side. Remember this guy here, Flippo, is saying the water wouldn't flow. There is no way. There is no way in reality, it doesn't matter what orientation you want to put it, yeah, that water is not going to flow to one or both of these people. Yeah, because for both of them, it depends which one you're looking at, right? For each one of them, this is it. For the individual, the Earth is curving down and away from them, and they will experience water curving down and away from them, yeah? Okay? But if there is nowhere on Earth where you can be up from someone else and the water flows up to you, doesn't happen. Yeah? That's just reality. We're not claiming to know how that happens, really, the big picture. You guys, the Globers, are making the claim that there's two. There's two of everything for the bloody globe. There's two of everything because you have to have, you have to have something that deviates from reality. Yeah? There's two poles. There's your geographic pole and your celestial pole. Yeah, there's your what is it? The equator and there's the. You'll help me out there if you're still in the chat. Bloods, the celestial one. Yeah. There's down and there's not down. There's no up and down. But there is an up and down in reality. There is. It doesn't change, and level doesn't change either. Yeah. We can imagine it, but that's not our reality. This is it. It's all about discerning between reality and fiction. No, again, Adrian, you must get this out of your head. We all understand it. This is it. Get off your high horse. Come down off your fucking laurels. Yeah? Stop thinking that you're smart just because you can imagine it. We can all imagine it. But it's like talking about the Coriolis thing. We can all jump out of this reference frame and imagine ourselves outside of it and looking down, yeah, or from the side. We can all do that. Yeah? But doesn't make you smarter, but it doesn't mean we have to accept it. Yeah? Especially when reality doesn't show us that. Yeah? It really is. This process is kind of like, you know, you've got these two jigsaw puzzles, and they're kind of, the heliocentric thing, it paints this picture, it all seems to work fine. And then there's reality. And then you're slowly kind of dismantling the solar system picture, and you're filling in reality, and you realize that they are two totally separate things, jigsaw puzzles. Yeah? There's all these little pieces that go into the globe, yeah? And it all seems to work because there's an explanation for it, or an assumption. Yeah? So you've got to understand that there's no problem understanding it. We've all got the cognitive ability to do that. In fact, a sign of intelligence would be to hold two models in your mind and not have a bias either way. But we're not talking about models, we're talking about reality. Yeah? It's what you have to understand, mate. And that's not to say that the flat earthers are thinking they're smarter. We're humble in the fact that we don't know where we are. Yeah? Is that where we live? On one of these? Exactly, Earth first space. How do you know water curves? This is it, mate. You know, if you wanted to demonstrate that you were open-minded, Adrian, you would say, okay, I don't know that water curves, but I understand it as part of the model. And we'd be all cool with that. No one would get on your case about that. We'd say, okay, cool, that's fine. Now go and do your own research, do your own observations, look at nature, spend time in it. Yeah? Look at reality. Look at flight data. Look at navigation. Yeah? Do whatever you like. Yeah? But at least stop thinking that because you can imagine things or work things out through deductive reasoning or assume things because of indirect measurements when you've been told that they are falsely told that they are direct measurements, then you can at least get to that point where you can, okay, I get it. There's model and there's a model and there's you know, and there's a difference between knowledge and belief. This is part of the journey. This is part of any soul-seeking spiritual growth journey. Discerning between knowledge and belief. It's so important. It's really, really important. Yeah? Because actually, a lot of the time we know things instinctively. We know it. But you still got to go out and check it and test it and verify it for yourself. And then you realize that your intuition was right. But that's all been taken. This is it. You got to understand. That's all been taken away from us. Nobody blames you. No one wants to attack you or argue with you personally. We are attacking the belief. And the reason people feel offended is because they identify with the belief. That's a good point, Adrian. Do you believe north is up and south is down? Well, again, I understand that your question is trying to be a gotcha question. Because you're trying to, okay, you imagine the globe to be a top and a bottom, but then there isn't a top and a bottom. Well, yeah, you know, we get it. Yeah. It's a straw man argument. Yeah. So no, what I believe is the cardinal directions are horizontal. And the only directions we really have is north. The rest is just kind of made up. Yeah. So north and south and east and west are on a horizontal plane. Yeah? Up and down is on a horizontal plane. That is how we experience it. Yeah? Now we can understand that you go from the UK to Australia or the South Pole or whatever, and it would appear that level is still level because of your version of level. But this is why I say, can you measure the difference between horizontal level and curved level? We can all understand that you want to define level as being perpendicular to down towards, the gravitational down towards the center. We get it. We can all draw a circle and then draw a slightly larger circle and say that outer circle is level because it's the same distance from the surface all the way around. Yeah? We all get that. What can you prove? What can you actually prove? You cannot claim to know that that is the case with the Earth itself. Yeah? And of course, you'll think it's stupid to say that if I go from point A to point B and there's no change in level, then the Earth is flat. Oh, but you have to imagine it's part of a globe that doesn't have an up and a down. And there is... Yeah. We can imagine it. Can't prove it. And this is why we talked about the sun and the planets and the moon earlier on. You cannot prove anything from them. Their distances, their sizes, what they are. But you can make up a shitload of stories and make it fit. That's the thing. Yeah? Maybe if this place is intelligently designed and it's a creation, it's kind of like a game, maybe the whole point, it's a clock, but maybe it's like, if you're savvy enough, if you're inquisitive enough, if you're curious enough, if you're open-minded enough, and you deprogram yourself, you'll realize that it can be interpreted in many different ways. And actually it doesn't prove where we are. Yeah? And that's why the sun gods, that's why they've always controlled the masses by making predictions. And that's just, again, the globe model predicts that we should have measurable curvature. Yeah, and this is it. No globey, no one who's an advocate of science will actually do any real bloody science and make a tangible measurement. You'll laugh at it. You think it's the most ridiculous thing in the world to do, to actually try and measure the curvature? What? Because no one's ever directly measured any curvature or spin. Ever. That's... so we're talking about dropping weights and things like that. These are direct measurements. That's okay, that's physics, that's science. But you're still never directly measuring any curvature on the Earth. It's all about assuming things. Kaji-san, argument from a French or Belgian pilot. If water curved because of gravity, then mountains in the water would make the mountain... Oh, I'm not sure if you're going to finish that. Make a mountain. I see. Hang on. If water curved because of gravity, then mountains in the water would make a mountain on... on the water. You see? Yeah. Earthship Bear. There is no downward acceleration in freefall, no downward vector, but spinning globe and stationary Earth, flat Earth claim and require... No, I'm sorry, I've got to disagree with you again, Earthship Bear. There is no claim of what the Earth is doing, okay? And you're just kind of repeating what you've heard. Now, this is a false claim by people saying that stationary Earthers are making false claims about acceleration. That is not an argument. Yeah? Things don't necessarily accelerate all the way. Yeah? Things in free fall behave in the same in the way that things move at a constant speed. So that is the only bone of that's the only thing I would say against the globers. Things when they're falling, and we know this. when things fall, they are not constantly accelerating. No one is claiming that, except maybe the globers. No flat earther is claiming that things constantly accelerate. There is acceleration if you go from stationary and you start moving. All right? Oh, I hate it when you do this, man. It's really bigoted. Yeah? So yeah, there's no downward acceleration in free fall. It's just constant speed. Yeah? And when something's moving at a constant speed, there are no effects that we see in acceleration. Yeah? Oh, man. Earth versus space later. Even before the up and down argument, the water needs a container. The globe does not provide a container. Oh, but gravity does. Gravity's your container, didn't you know? Uncommon sense. I don't believe anything, Adrian. You've demonstrated repeatedly that you don't get it. Adrian says, I am testing his knowledge of the globe model. I am not asking him to agree with it, just to show that he does not understand what... So what are you talking about? We all understand the globe model better than you, probably. Because we researched it. We looked into it. Yeah? This is a thing you don't understand. Before going flat Earth, we actually went back to everything we were taught at school. We went through what the scientists have been saying. We tried to find out what the consensus is. Yeah? One of the first searches I did was, how did we find out the Earth is a globe? And they give you Eratosthenes. They might give you the Greeks or the Egyptians, but it's very vague. Yeah? Sticks and shadows, which we talked about. We just covered this, Adrian, yeah? Okay? Yeah? But there, again, I said it right from the start. I've been saying, and any flat earther will tell you, you try to look for where anyone ever made a tangible measurement. Yeah? This is it. What you do in physics is you make tangible measurements, yeah? Yeah? For example, we know that you can calculate the volume of a cube. Yeah? I could have a water or a cup or something. I could have a cube, and I could calculate the volume. And it would be accurate just by multiplying the sides, yeah? And if that was tangible, because that's something tangible, you can then get one of these and you can measure the sides. And you can predict with some mathematics that you'll fill a cube with a certain amount of water. Yeah? Or a liter of water will weigh a kilogram. Yeah? Why is that? Because there's a system of measurement, metric system that's designed around it. Yeah? It's related to water. Yeah, the metric system is based on water. Yeah? And we understand that mass is not weight. And so on and so on and so on. Okay, Earthship Bear. When you drop something and you claim motion, that is by definition acceleration from zero to something. Well, no, it's not intellectually dishonest. That's what's happening. Yeah. Now, again, we can, and any physicist can imagine or presuppose that something else is happening, that the Earth is rising up to meet it. You can assume that. You can model it. Yeah? But what you're saying is you're saying, well, I don't know what you're saying. You're saying there's only one answer. Well, no. I'm still open to all possibilities, yeah? There's more than two answers, yeah? So, yeah, if something starts moving from zero, yes, it's accelerating. But it's not constantly accelerating. It reaches terminal velocity, okay, which means that it's traveling at a constant speed. And when that happens, things act like that in free fall the same way as something that's going along at a constant velocity, because it's not being pushed against the edge as it is with acceleration. So yes, there is initial acceleration. And there's, you know, I've just explained it. It's just like, but that doesn't mean I assume what's actually happening or what's moving. The understanding is that it can be interpreted in many different ways. So anyone that's claiming that it's only one way and can't be another way is the one who's being intellectually dishonest. Because yes, with intellectual honesty, I can say, yes, it could be this way, it could be that way, it could be something else. But I do not know what the actual cause is or what's actually happening. All I can do is say, well, okay, if something's being accelerated, it gets pressed against the container. If something's going at a constant speed, it does not get pressed against the container. So when something's in free fall, it's not getting pressed against the container. So it's not accelerating. So it's not one of my bloody claims. But it behaves in the same way as something going along at a constant speed. Come on, man. Snap out of it. Chill. Yeah? I'm trying to say, don't believe anything. And you're trying to say, believe me. Because of my interpretation. You know? Said this before, yeah? It's fine to say, all right, it could be this, it could be that. But to then start saying, you're stupid, or, you know, whatever, or you're being dishonest because you believe, and then claiming what I believe, that's dishonest. Yeah, I know. Earthship Bear. When you accelerate, there is displacement. Yes, we know. But you got it into your head that anyone is claiming that things are falling and accelerating constantly. No, that's not what's happening. Adrian. Okay, Adrian says I'm asking this intentionally because the correct answer confirms water will not flow down a curve. Wondering if any of these guys get why. Yeah, we get why. We understand your model, but your model doesn't correlate to reality. Yeah? So what happens when it goes level? Yeah? Does something change? So what's the difference? This is it, Adrian. Can you determine the difference between level and curved? Can you measure it? Can you demonstrate it? No, you can't. Ashman says, let's say it was a globe. I'd have to say south. Oh, okay, sorry, you're kind of south because when you get to the North Pole, the compass goes mad. But then if there's a south pole, it would search for north. Yeah, it's still indeterminate, right? Reality kind of doesn't prove that we've got these definite poles. G Gra 99, the moon send his own light, which is cooling. Yes. Again, this is it. Adrian, one thing I did and a few others have done is test the temperature. This is the thing, you know. One of the first things I did, coins on tabletops, flushing the toilets and the sinks to seeing if they go the same way on one side of the equator to the other. Yeah. All these little stupid little things. Yeah. Done them all, every single one of them. Yeah. And what was it? Yeah, moonlight, testing moonlight. We tested that too. Moonlight has a cooling effect. I've tried several different experiments, but if you get a glass of warm water or hot water, and now I'm lucky because I'm in Thailand, yeah, so it's not that cold. But basically, on a full moon night, if you get 2 glasses of the water the same temperature and they're warm so that you can observe and measure the rate at which they cool down, guarantee you that the one under moonlight will cool down quicker than the one that is not under moonlight. Yeah? And you might want to talk about drafts and shade and things like that. No, this was done on a completely still, windless night, of which there are many in Phuket, like right now. There's no wind, yeah, none whatsoever. And the shade was provided by something quite high up, so it wasn't just sheltering the thing, yeah? We've done all this stuff, Adrian, yeah? We've tested it to death. And this is why the only thing that's left to do is measure the curvature that you believe in and the bendy water that you believe in and the curve that's not a curve, that's not horizontal and not declination. You have to go and test these things for yourself, because you're claiming that we're too stupid to understand it. We're not. We just got the balls to actually start questioning it. Okay, Adrian. Yeah, well, I'm, as I said, I'm not attacking you personally. I understand, yeah, people will say stuff that kind of comes across as nasty, yeah? And I get it. I get it that sometimes the flat earthers can come across as being cultish. There's a lot of cultish behaviour, yeah? Okay? Granted. And I wouldn't encourage being derogatory, condescending. In fact, when I started this channel, I naively thought, not when I started the channel, when I started talking about flat earth, I naively thought that I could have pleasant, engaging conversations with everyone, yeah? But you can't. People come along, and this is the thing. Although you say, Adrian, that you have not called anyone stupid, you've actually assumed, you did say, but you don't understand it, which is indirectly saying you're stupid, all right? Yeah? So this is it. This is your mindset that you have to put aside, where you don't assume that you have a higher intelligence than everyone else that you're interacting with, yeah? But likewise, we don't assume that we've got a higher intelligence. What we understand is that we were all victims of being indoctrinated into a cult, yeah? And we are not trying to convert people into believing other models, other ideas, yeah? But what we do see, that's the difference, is that when you're a truth seeker and you hear someone say something different that you never thought of or you disagree with, well, okay, you can, if you attack them, that's not really going to help, but it's your choice to agree or disagree with, someone. Yeah, I'm sure there are certain things that I say that people disagree with. It's okay, we can have a conversation about it, yeah? So, but I'm not trying to make excuses. You do have to understand, Adrian, though, that we've heard it all before. We've been doing this for like decades, or a decade or more, yeah? I wasn't, I was a bit late to the game. There were people that were, I wasn't born until after the moon landings. But there were people that were born then, and they knew it was a hoax. Yeah? So they've been trying to tell people for, for half a century. Yeah. So I would love it if we could all just kind of treat each other nicely. Again, that was a naive expectation of mine, because I immediately got attacked. And this is it again, Adrian. What's happened is, it's not your fault. No one's blaming you, but this is what's happened to us, and it's part of it. The psyop is like, we are taught when we are younger that those stupid people who believed the earth was flat, because they thought people would fall off the edge of the earth. How many times have you heard that? We are told by people who never thought about it critically themselves that people in the old days used to think that if you sailed off to the horizon, you'd fall off the edge. It's just nuts. Yeah. In fact, there were civilizations before us, obviously, that were as advanced as us, maybe even more so, more in tune with nature, more in tune with reality. It's all been destroyed, covered up. Yeah. I mean, the Vatican has got miles and miles and miles and miles of stuff. They gathered up they've stolen from all over the world on the bloody Crusades and everything. Yeah. Why? Because if people knew the truth about our history, they wouldn't be in control. Yeah. And you don't have to be a bloody conspiracy theorist or a nutter or a tinfoil hatter to understand this, that people who want power will create the narrative and they will cover up. And that's the reality of the world we live in. There are predators. There are people that have knowledge that they don't, if you want to be successful, in many ways, you hide knowledge. It's just the way the world is, man. Got to wake up to it. So, by default, you have called people stupid, Adrian, by saying you don't understand, when you know full well that we understand. Okay. Someone said battery dying. Okay, Ashman. Okay, cheers. Uncommon sense. You see, yeah, he's okay. If uncommon sense has had to repeat himself 5 times, it just shows that you're not listening, Adrian. Yeah, and it's going to piss people off, because smart people just listen once and then they digest it and they don't react. They just digest it. Keep it. Yeah? Mull it over. The Jolly Man. Gravity isn't a force, not since 1915. Come on, Globers, learn your model. Yes, Sandra, we do not live in a centrifuge. Earth first, space later. Adrian, if gravity were real, then it would pull all the water perpendicularly to the horizontal towards the centre of mass. Therefore, water would not flow anywhere. We get it. Yeah, nicely said. INFE. By the Bull belief, gravity is centre mass to centre mass of Earth, not sideways gravity. Adrian says that is an easy one because the mass of the mountain is tiny compared to... Yeah, okay, okay, you're going all the way back to that one. I'm not going to bother following up. Go. Okay, Joyce. Joyce B. Yes, at Phuket Word. Thank you. The Vatican knows. It is the Vatican that began the counter-reformation. They called it learning against learning. Ah, right, okay. This was necessary as the ability of the Vatican to... Okay, I'm sure you're going to carry on that. Mojo Shop, Adrian Bushell, not upset at all, just trying to get... Yeah. That's right, Mojo Shop, just try... we're all here, we got patience. A lot of these people have the patience of a saint. But will not tolerate bullshit either. The Jolly Man, fluid mechanics. Okay, okay, you're going back to INFE, gravity, one word. General theory of relativity, 19,500 words with no conclusion. Yeah, well, okay, all right, Adrian. If you, you didn't directly say people were stupid, okay? But you assumed that we didn't understand. We do understand. Yeah, well, see, the thing is, the thing is, mate, when you're sarcastic about it, then, I don't. We see through the when people are condescending, through their, their kind of, what's the word, the kind of soft jabs and all this stuff. Yeah, it's still condescending. It's just showing us, your language is showing us that you're still looking down on us, and you think you come here with something to prove. Josh, hello. Anyone here from 24/7 Flat Earth on Discord? Not me. Powers. Yeah, we understand what the heliocentric model is supposed to be more than most. It comes with the territory. Yes, certainly does. This is it. Yeah? So, again, Adrian, please just understand that the first step to this whole thing is understanding the heliocentric model. Yeah? And I'm grateful for all the people that have helped, have said this, the globies that have said this and that and da. And they'll say, but this, because that. And you go off and you look it up, whatever it is, how rockets get up there and the rocket equations and things like that, yeah? Gyroscopic effects, Coriolis, yeah? We all know the 9.8 meters per second squared, yeah? We know the history of it. We know about Copernicus and, Eratosthenes. Been there so many times. And like I said, this stream is like, it's kind of necessary, although everyone knows what I'm going to say. It's kind of a bit repetitive to go through these facts, but we've got to do it to show where the thinking, got to teach people how to start thinking again and how to discern between knowledge and belief. Yeah? All right. Okay, I'm going to read a couple more chats, going to wind it up. Yeah? So INFE, gravity belief says gravity is not accumulative except for a few situations. Yeah. And then by go belief, every grain of sand, every bit of rock, every discontinuous thing would have its own gravity center, but they calculate the Earth as if it were a solid thing with one mass, one center. Good point. And so, Adrian, you're saying, so you agree on the heliocentric model, water will not flow down Earth curve? No, not necessarily. I mean, because it just doesn't. This is it. When you're presented with a model that doesn't include elevation, yeah, it's not representing reality at all. No, that's it. Again, what are you saying, Adrian? This is it. You're just being obtuse and conceited. Yeah, you're saying if you understand the model, then you must agree with that. But no. Like I said, you're not if you're not discerning between elevation and curve, yeah, and then it's just because this is it. It's like it's a model, and there's nothing agreeable about the model apart from the predictions you make from the sky, yeah. You see, you've got to understand, Adrian, that the globe model is not a measure of the surface. It's what we talked about right at the beginning here, yeah. The globe is not a measure of the surface. It is a conversion of perspective from looking at the stars and the sun using non-Euclidean geometry into an imaginary curve. It's basically the parallel lines that we see on and above the Earth are being converted into these domes of perspective described using geometry, because it's talked about in terms of degrees. Yeah, and that's how you got your hemispheres. All right, so you got to understand how we understand that the globe model is not based on any measurements of the Earth itself. And actually, when they created it, they might not have been assuming that the Earth is physically like that, because it's just a projection. It's just an easy way to show all the stars that we see in a model. It doesn't necessarily mean that the people that created the model even assumed that the Earth is curved, because they've just taken a celestial sphere. Yeah? All right? This is what you have to understand. Yeah, this is it. Now, that's Earth first, space later. You said not a deflection. The water wouldn't have a shape without oh no, you were talking about gyrus, centrifuge. Yeah, I'm just again, Adrian. You're trying to get me to argue about a model, an imaginary model. Fuck off. I'm talking about reality and trying to explain to you how you have come to imagine your reality in a totally different way to it actually presents itself. All right? So stop it. You're just being a twat. Yeah? This is a thing. This is why we see you're just trying to make a point with an imaginary model. Piss off. That's what pisses us off. Yeah? It's stupid. It's childish. Just this one-upmanship. Trying to nail... It's like no one's trying to... Ugh. Yeah, it's like school children. Ugh. Adrian says, I would like Phuket Word to answer this directly. What is the shape of the surface of the water in a giant centrifuge? It will curve, it will bend, yes. But you're using, this is it, you're using an analogy that is totally the opposite physics. It's real physics. You can send it round, and yes, we know, we've all seen it. We've all seen the fish tank. I've even done videos on it with the curvy water. That is totally the opposite of the alleged physics that you're trying to apply to the bloody globe. Yeah? So there's no denying real physics that's demonstrable. Yes, you can make water curve in a container and spin it around. Ugh. Bloody hell. Yeah, profanity. Why not? It's my channel. I can say what I want. And I can show my disdain for people that refuse to use discernment. Yeah? And this is what is tough love. Yeah? It's like, yeah, that's the kind of reaction you'll get if you're stupid and you're trying to be condescending to people. Yeah? Because you've come along and you've tried, it's like, you know, you're giving me a slap in the face. I'll slap you back. Yeah, of course he's trolling, one angry guy, Goy. Yeah, I know. Yeah, all right. Yeah, appreciate it, yeah. I know, time waster. Yeah. All right, but it's good to have you in, Adrian. Good to show us what it's all about to be a Globie. Yeah. I'm not losing my cool. Yeah. So you think you baited me into losing my cool? Yeah. It's like, no, it's just me telling you I'm not going to put up with bullshit and trolling. Yeah, I've had enough. That's it. Yeah. That's the word I was looking for, Rune. That is the word. Passive aggressive. Yes. Okay. And this is it. We see the tactics. We don't fall for it. Yeah. So you haven't goaded anyone into anything. Yeah. Actually gave you the benefit of the doubt, and you took the piss. Yeah. So full of bravado, Adrian. Yeah, that's funny. Yeah. You weren't trying to have a nice conversation. You were trying to be a dick. Yeah. So you got dick slapped. Yeah, that's it, Powers. We understand that it was ridiculous. That's where you were failing. You were taking the piss, Adrian. Yeah? This is it. You're playing a game of one-upmanship, which isn't what any of us are trying to play. Yeah? That's your level. That's your schoolboy tactics. Yeah? Oh dear, yeah. So anyway, it is Nirvana Day, as I said today. Nice full moon out there. I'm just going to bathe in the sun, in the moonlight. Yeah. So it's already 1:19. Okay. Thanks a lot for coming in, guys. Much appreciated it. And yeah, join us on Patreon. It's free if you want. Yeah, I don't do much on it, but sometimes send out stuff. Yeah, but yeah, let's keep rocking it. Maybe do. I'm in contact with FPV Angel. I was going to do a chat with him on last weekend, but I got sick. So yeah, Sunday, hopefully 9:30 a.m. UK time, we'll be having a chat live. So I just want to talk to FPV Angel about his model. And see what we can make of it. Yeah, that's right, Powers. Yeah, kept asking the same stupid question in order to hopefully reach. Because my kids, if my children keep asking the same question and they don't learn, I'll get pissed off with them. Yeah. Okay. No, Adrian, next time, try listening. Try being an adult. Yeah? Stop playing your silly games. Yeah? And then we can have a conversation. When you come in trying to play your silly games, trying to lead up to your gotcha questions, people just get banned because I've not got the time for time wasters. Yeah? I was very reasonable. You go back, you listen back to it, Adrian. I was very reasonable for a long time. Put up with your bullshit. Yeah? Hello, Jeff. Yeah. All right, I'm going to knock it on the head. So, thank you very much, okay? It's been great. Much appreciated, yeah? And have a good rest of the week. And we'll catch up at the weekend maybe, yeah? Cheers.